up at like 5:15 to work out. So my wife was like, "Have you ever thought about using a sleep mask? Because we sleep with a humidifier, so it's the light from that. We have this thing over our vent, so it's just a bunch of lights on in our room."
Right.
Man, she bought me this sleep mask, and I've been going to bed on time and working out after. Dog, I haven't the best sleep of my life. I've never
Now,
felt
when
this
you
energized.
say sleep mask, my
Yeah.
brother, paint me the picture of this particular device.
Yeah, so it's the sleep mask like you see on the airlines, like the things that just cover your eyelids. Yeah, sleep mask. Like it just covers my eyes. It goes over my nose. It's silk. It has a little cushion on it so it doesn't feel dry. Yeah, man. It just does the trick. So when I do wake up, because I still kind of wake up at 3 in the morning, it's pitch
Hmm.
black. So it's easier to go back to sleep. So now I'm up
So
maybe
why
like
you just
five
didn't roll
minutes.
over?
Huh?
Why you didn't just roll over?
You mean like sleep on my stomach?
Or your other side? Pause.
So the way our room is set up, the purifier is on the right side, and the thing on our vent is on the left side, and then we have a night light in the hallway, if just in case I get up to use the restroom, I can see. So no matter where I roll, like there's always some sort of light. Now that's gone. Now it's just pitch black.
My brother's a vampire.
Man, it's been
Ja-
the like I
Jamie in
said.
the comments said you be wearing those wax masks with cucumbers on your eyes. That's what it sounds like. That's definitely what it
If
sounds like.
that's what it feels like, but that is not what it is, Jamie.
Nah, that's what it is. It's my brother.
And
It's
if
okay. I've been,
I don't
you
care,
know,
I enjoy
as
sleeping.
long as we've been podding, I've been wanting to know these things like you wear masks with cucumbers under your eyes.
Hey, I do have beautiful skin. You know the problem, and this is a little skincare
You know,
tip.
this is after you've already admitted to the people that you wanted to roast your own nuts. We have that.
Yeah,
We got you on.
we
We got
we
you on
got
for a
that.
tasting. How's that been going for you, by the way?
It's funny. We got snow here
Dang.
uh the other day, and I was like,
Hmm.
man, this is the perfect day to go outside and smoke something because the aesthetic of the snow falling while the smoker's going is just beautiful. But I didn't have anything to smoke, so there's supposed to be another storm on Friday. I might go pick up some nuts and roast them on Friday if I have the day off.
And again, no pause, but
It's all right.
what?
You know what? That's gonna
Okay,
be.
why not like roast some? So, ladies and gentlemen, Jamie in the comments is getting at my man Danny Ocean early, and this is the energy I
Hey,
think
yo,
we
chill
need.
out. Chill
We
out,
got to
Jamie.
help. We got to help this brother get through a very, very tough Monday night, and I
Y'all,
think
y'all, y'all,
jokes is the best
y'all,
way.
y'all can kiss my ass. I'm having the best sleep of my life. Y'all can make fun of me all you want. I haven't slept this well since I was a child.
So you're happy that the never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 129 of Speak On It. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how ready I have been for the last 48 hours to come in here and not only chat with you all, the beautiful, great people, but chat with my man Danny. And we got a lot of things to talk about. Danny, but first and
Yes, we do.
foremost, before we get into it, why don't you tell the people who the podcast is brought by?
This fine podcast is brought to you by the good folks at goingfor2.com. Fantasy season may be over, but if you know anything about D and myself, what is this year 4? This is the 4th year around the sun. We don't stop for fantasy season. We're going to keep going. But also, a lot of you are preparing for your dynasty drafts. I know I am, especially with the number one overall pick. Going for two is going to have content all off season. Help you prepare for your dynasty drafts. Help you get prepped for your redrafts, no matter when that is, because football season is always in season. It'll be draft season before we know it. So again, goingfor2.com for just everything that you need.
Yes, and for you fantasy folks out here, let me paint a scenario for you because I really need help. Now, I have two dynasty teams, both of which I think are a few pieces away from really taking that next step. So let me tell you about my 10-team league,
Okay, is this
dynasty
the one
league.
that we're in?
This is the one we're in. So
Okay.
we are deep at a few positions. We have veterans. We're deep at the running back position. Let's just say that. We're deep at the running back position. At the wide receiver position, we got a lot of veterans. We got Mike Evans. We got Stephon Diggs. We got DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
We got some young guns in there like Romeo Dubs. You know, trying to think of who our other young stud might be on that team. Hold on 1 second, ladies and gentlemen.
While you look that up, Jamie, In our league, the number one overall pick doesn't go to the worst team. The winner of the consolation bracket gets the number one overall pick. Jamie says, "Tell us you suck at Dynasty without telling us you suck at Dynasty." I
You
have
had
the
to
number
go
one
and win
overall
it.
pick.
You have to go win it. Oh, so yeah, we got some young wide receivers like Romeo Dubs and Trey Palmer, who scored in yesterday's game. And then we got young tight end room, Cole Kmet, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft. So I say all that to say in this 10-team league, I'm trying to get some youth in at the wide receiver position because I think that's a position I'm going to have to invest in given the age of some of my studs right now. So Danny has the number one overall pick. I have the second overall pick via Bam so kindly trading with me his first his number one overall. I mean his first round pick. So I have 102 in this league. Danny has picked one. I have picked two. Let's just say Danny is very confidently going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 101. Ladies and gentlemen, give me some 102 like wide receivers you think that are coming out of this draft. Malik Neighbors, is that where I should go, ladies and gentlemen? We know Rome Odunze. Is that maybe where I should go, ladies and gentlemen? I know it's going to often depend on where a lot of these guys end up, but I'm curious to see where people, have some rankings around here.
You know what's funny? I saw a mock draft today that had Marvin Harrison Jr. going to New England, and buddy, let me tell you, I'm gonna have a real conversation with myself if Mac Jones is throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. We're gonna have some real conversations over at the Ron Asley Office of Tax Returns.
Who says New England doesn't go to quarterback though?
I agree, but I just saw a mock draft and it had Marvin Harrison Jr. and I think it had them picking. Was it Bo Nix? Yeah, I think it had them picking Bo Nix in the second round. My brother, let me tell you, if Bo Nix is throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., we're going to have a real discussion because I don't believe in Bo Nix at all.
But what if he turned out to be something?
Bo Nix is just an old Derek Carr, and that's his ceiling.
Now, Jamie in the comments says Neighbors or Odunze, but he says Neighbors is safer. Danny, how do you feel about that? Would you say Malik Neighbors is a safer choice?
It depends, right? So if this mock draft came to fruition, they had Malik Neighbors going to Arizona, and I would love that. Like, I hope Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to Arizona because him and Kyler Murray, we've seen what Kyler can do with a legit receiver. That's my wish list. So yeah, if Neighbors ends in Arizona, yeah, absolutely.
Now talk to me. In the real draft, right?
Right.
We have the Panthers. Technically, their first round pick is going to Chicago.
Correct.
Do you think Chicago is going to keep this pick?
They shouldn't. They should not. They should trade that pick. Or if you want to use the number one overall pick on Marvin Harrison Jr., I would say, I know Washington would probably love to have Caleb Williams. I would trade back a spot and take Marvin Harrison Jr. second overall. And then you have a young core of Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, and Justin Fields. That's nasty. That's pretty nasty if you ask me.
With Cole Kmet there, they're probably looking at the Packers like, hey, they have a room, a lot of young wide receiver talent. Maybe we're going to have to match that. So
yeah, like you're going to have to go ball for ball with Green Bay and Detroit for the next 3 to 5 years. Like, you got your quarterback. You have I think they have their quarterback. I like Justin Fields. I would go another year, but yeah, I would trade back with Washington.
What do you believe of the notion that it might take around $250 million to keep Justin Fields there?
Here's the thing. I think Caleb Williams is going to be good, but we don't know that. You know what you have in Justin Fields. And I feel like the past 2 years at the end of the season, he's kind of shown promise and was like, yeah, he's the guy. And then the first half of the season, people kind of like start to doubt him. I would pay Justin Fields. And was this year, he's completed 2 years, right?
This might be year 3. No.
Is this, he
might be year 4.
No, how long has Justin Fields been in the league? Let's look this up.
This was his 3rd year.
This is so you have Justin Fields 2 more years at a cost-controlled contract. Yeah, this year, then you have his 5th year option. Now you're probably going to extend him at the end of next year, so he doesn't even touch free agency on that 5th year option. A lot of teams, that 5th year option contract that money would still count, and then after that, the extension kicks in. So you had Justin Fields 2 more years at a cost-friendly deal. Let him see what he can do with Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore for 2 years.
I like that. I like that. And then so you think all these headlines in the news from Caleb Williams is essentially his way of telling Washington to trade up?
I don't think so. I know one of those stories is fake. The one where he said he wouldn't declare if Chicago took him, that one is fake. I found that out the other day. But if you're,
tell me about it.
There was a who I think Emmanuel Acho tweeted a story that Caleb Williams said that he wouldn't declare if Chicago took him, and that story turned out being false. That story is not true.
Ballsack News.
Yeah, that's a Ballsack News special. But yeah, if you're Caleb, I mean, if you're Caleb, where would you want to go? Do you want to go to Chicago with DJ Moore, or do you want to go to DC? Or do you want someone to jump up?
What's the top five?
Look it up real quick.
It's the Bears, it's Washington, New England,
Arizona.
It's
Chicago,
Chargers,
Washington. Yep. Chicago, Washington, New England, Arizona, the Chargers, and then the Giants are at 6.
I think Washington them.
Yeah, I would take Washington too.
Just based off the needs of the teams behind Washington or New England, I would say, because if New England, because they're in a first-year head coach with Gerard Mayo, right, and so you bring in do like a CJ Stroud sort of thing, where you take the defensive-minded head coach, young rookie wide receiver. With a new head coaching staff, they're probably going to bring in a new OC, so that could be an opportunity maybe to start brand new. Now, receiving wise, who knows what who knows what their receiving core is going to look like in New England, but it's not like they have a bad one.
Yeah, and for me, it's where do I have the opportunity for the most success? And I'd say it's probably the NFC. AFC is stacked. Like the NFC, who you got? Who you got in NFC that's consistently good, right? You got San Francisco, Green Bay has shown something. You got Dallas. If you want to throw Philadelphia in there, you want to be my guest. But after that, like what else? Like what else do you have?
The Rams,
right?
the Lions,
the Lions, right? Like now you're talking, but compared to the AFC,
are a fringe playoff team.
Yeah, but in the AFC, at the AFC, you're going to have to go through some combination of Lamar, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Like you're going to have to go in. Some people want to throw
Stroud. Come on,
CJ. Yeah, see, like you see what I'm saying though, right? Like the Trevor Lawrence. If you still believe in Trevor, like your path to the Super Bowl in the AFC, like you got to go through those 6 guys. You can't dodge any of them. You're going to have to see.
Well, when Tom retired, all the bad teams got quarterbacks.
Yeah, man. Like Tom left, and it's been a power struggle. It's just been a. So, do you want to go to New England and fight through that? You got to see Josh Allen twice, or you want to go to NFC? You NFC East. Okay, I played Philly, I played Dallas twice, but you get the Giants twice, and then
I don't know why. Yo, hold on, stop right there. There's no way you can say you get the Giants twice. And the last time I saw the Giants and the Eagles play, they kicked y'all's teeth in. What are we talking about?
Oh Lord!
Yeah, look at you. Your room lying. Your pictures falling down because they know you about to come in here and lie about the Eagles.
Listen, before that, the Eagles have owned the Giants. I'll give the Giants the credit they won. I'm just saying, like, what division you want to play in? You want to play Josh Allen twice, the Dolphins twice. Who else is in the AFC East? The Jets, who have the best defense in the league. Or do you want to play Philadelphia twice, Dallas twice, and the Giants twice? What do you like? In all honesty, which would you pick?
I'm choosing the AFC East a little bit more.
Really? You would take the AFC East?
Have to worry about Buffalo. New York hasn't really shown that even with Aaron Rodgers, they were going to be what they were going to be. So you still have to wait and see that. And then with Miami, as long as you even the odds, you always have a chance. So you have a better chance of going 1-1 with them. So really, you don't have to worry about Buffalo.
Yeah, but again, like when you get to the playoffs, it comes back to I'm gonna have to see Lamar, Joe, Josh, CJ. Like I'm gonna have to see them
any given Sunday.
Compared to I'm gonna have to see Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Dak, Jalen. Like you have a better shot, is what I'm saying. Like all the good quarterbacks play in the AFC, all the great quarterbacks. I didn't even mention Patrick. Like you have to go to the Arrowhead Invitational.
I like my chances. Listen, any given Sunday, I feel like in the NFC, if you're in the NFC East, you know at least the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to show up for the regular season. Question about the postseason, and then the Giants are going to give you a game. Then you start thinking about the other teams in the NFC. It's not as sweet as you think. You still got to play the 49ers, the Saints, the Bucks are not an easy game. The Seahawks aren't an easy game. The Lions, Packers. Hey.
But my question to you is, and Jamie, the Browns defense is number one. I don't know about all that. I think the Texans might have something to say about that. But for me,
that was just a good game plan.
For me, it's when you're thinking about playoff matchups, who would you rather have in the first round of the wild card? Would you rather play the Texans, or do you want to play the winner of the NFC South? And I know the Bucks won last night in dominating fashion, but historically, like, who would you want to play? Do you want to go play CJ Stroud and the Texans, or do you want to go play Baker Mayfield and the Bucks?
Take me to Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
You would rather. So I'm trying to think of the other matchups this weekend. It was the Houston Browns, so Bills Steelers, right? So you'd rather go to Buffalo than go to Detroit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Listen, for every good Josh Allen game, what do we also get?
That's true. You get the roller coaster Josh Allen. Jamie, that's great. The Texans still ran through them.
Hey, yo.
So James said, check your stats. Nobody has done what the Browns D has done before, and they're at home. And that's okay, Jamie, because the Eagles are at home.
I mean, Jamie's right. The Browns defense was really, really good. Unfortunately, it didn't show up in the game that
you can say the same about Dallas. So what are we talking about?
My brother, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit about the NFC wildcard weekend.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the Rams and the Lions, since we were just talking about it. What were your overall thoughts on the game? It was the Matthew Stafford Invitational, his return to Detroit. I mean, the Rams, listen, they only gave up 3 points in the second half, and they lost by 1 point. I was sick to my stomach for them. What were your thoughts, Danny?
That was the best game of the weekend. That's the one game I thoroughly enjoyed watching outside of Green Bay and Dallas, but the Green Bay-Dallas game is because I hate Dallas. Like, competitively speaking, that was the best game of the weekend. I enjoyed that game. It was everything we wanted. I think it started off like a lot of offense, defense is settled in, and it came down to the final possession. Like, it came down to the end of the fourth quarter, which is all we can ask for. Shout out to Jared Goff exercising those demons. I will say some people are like, the Lions won that trade. LOL, the Lions did not win that trade. The Rams legitimately won a Super Bowl, which is the goal. So we can say it's a win-win, but the Lions did not win that trade. The Rams, if we're going to say someone won that trade, the Rams won that trade.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because as soon as Matthew Stafford raised in Lombardi, that was
a wrap.
Yeah,
Jared has to go raise a Lombardi.
Well, the whole reason why the Rams made that trade was to win now, and they did.
And they did. So the Rams won that. But I had a lot of fun watching that game.
Yeah, it was the most competitive game you could. It's crazy to think that when you hold a team to 3 points in the second half and you only lose by 1, just to show you how many crazy. Maybe more plays that they made. I mean, there was definitely some calls in that fourth quarter that I was surprised weren't made. But
can we talk about Sean McVay for a second?
Let's talk about
it. Can we talk about Sean McVay's cowardice at the end of the first half? He had like a whole minute left and 3 timeouts, and you have Matthew Stafford, and you don't try to go get points. That's kind of been his thing, right? He's the offensive genius, but when it comes to game planning, it's kind of been C+ at best.
But you could also say on the flip side, his defense only gave up 3 points in the second half. All they needed was a touchdown or 1 extra field goal. So
yeah, you could have got that field goal at the end of the half when you had the ball for a minute and you didn't do anything with it. You decided to punt to halftime. Look, possessions in the playoffs mean everything.
Where did the Rams go from here?
No, you run it back. If Matthew Stafford has 1 more in him, I think you go 1 more, because Puka Nacua has been a revelation. Like, if they didn't have, like, Cooper Kupp has kind of taken a back seat. Now, granted, he's recovering from injury last year. You have a whole healthy offseason in Cooper Kupp, a whole healthy offseason with Puka Nacua. You have your running back in Williams. Tyler Higbee towards ACL, which sucks. But I think you, if Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford have one more in them, I say give it another shot. Because you can compete with the 49ers.
That Higbee hit, same thing that happened to Dallas Goedert. What is your thoughts about that? That's just real quick.
I think that's how safeties have to hit players now, right? Because you can't hit them. Because what's a receiver's natural instinct when they catch the ball and they see someone running to them? It's to duck, right? So a safety can't go straight in because you're going to get helmet to helmet. So I got to go at his knees. I have to go at his knees or at his waist. And that's just so if you're going to legislate
or if you got to go shoulder, there's a good chance they bounce off it. Now next thing you know, they're running down.
Exactly. So I feel it sucks for Higbee. It happened to Goddard. I think there was another hit like that too. But what are defensive backs supposed to do? Like it's like, do you want blown ACLs or do you want CTE? That's what the NFL is saying, and the NFL is saying blown ACL every time.
Chris Collinsworth said most of them said they would rather have CTE.
Yeah, ask Junior Seau how those head-to-head hits take its course over the course of your life.
Where do you think the Lions rank?
No offense to
in terms of powerhouses in the NFC. Do you think this win kind of gets that playoff monkey on their back and helps propel them?
Yeah, because the Rams kind of had their way. I would love to see, because the weakness for Detroit is their defense. They're going to have to go point for point with whoever they play. So if you have teams that can score a lot of points, which they have the Buccaneers this weekend, I'd love to see. It's going to be great this weekend watching a team that knows how to handle a blitz, because I have a feeling the Lions are going to have an answer to the blitz because that's all Todd Bowles does. I think they beat the Bucs. I want to see them against the 49ers in the Bay, right? That's going to be a very interesting game if the 49ers can pull it off, which I don't think they can. We'll talk about that later. But the Lions know who they are. They're going to have to score a ton of points to win games and just hope their defense gets a timely stop.
Speaking of the Bay, and there was a Bay that played this weekend, not the San Francisco Bay Area, the Green Bay Area.
Hey, talk your shit.
Super Wild Card Weekend. Ladies and gentlemen,
clear your throat.
Super Wild Card Weekend. They matched up the 2 seed Dallas Cowboys with the 7 seed Green Bay Packers. Coming into this game, the Dallas Cowboys have been 16-0 their last 16 home games, 8-0 at home this season. Coming into the season, the Dallas Cowboys played unbelievably well at home. Ask Danny. His team went in there and got stumped at Jerry's World.
Yes, they did.
A lot of teams went into Jerry's World this year and did not come out with a victory.
Nope. No team did.
Until one man, number 10, said, you know what? I love this stat. I love this stat because I'm Jordan Love. So he comes out, offense. What'd I tell y'all? Last week, D. Mixstradamus said, if the Packers recover, get the coin toss, they're going to receive, they're going to go down the field, they're going to score and send a message to Dallas. We came to play. Did I not? I did.
You did. I even have the text message to prove it.
What happened? First drive, over half the quarter, 75 yards, touchdown, Aaron Jones. And guess what? I saw panic on the other side. And guess what ensued? Panic. Next thing you know, 14-0. Next thing you know, 21-0. Uh-oh. Now we got something. Pass the sticks, Dallas. Oh, no.
No, it was 20-0 because you missed the extra point.
20-0. We did miss the extra point. Then Dallas thought they had something. Then we just kept scoring. Luke Musgrave, wide open. Romeo Doubs, wide open. Dontavius Wicks, wide open. More Aaron Jones. Jordan Love throwing dimes, needles, haystacks. Then here come Dallas. Want to show a little bit of quote-unquote pride. We get to garbage time. We took the starters out. We got Sean Clifford getting ticked in an NFL playoff game. Sean Clifford, ladies and gentlemen, all-time leading passer in Penn State history. And no, he didn't. Never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, they scored a few points. Scored a few touchdowns, little garbage time touchdowns. But then guess what? We came out. We hit him in the mouth again. Then we shut that shit down. Next thing you know, you looking at a score. What was it? It was 41-32, 48-32, something along them lines.
It was close to 50. I was hoping y'all dropped 50.
It was the type of game. I mean, it was the type of score that Jameis Winston, had he been out there, would have told the offense, we going for 50. It was that type of game, ladies and gentlemen. The score didn't matter. The ass kicking was very evident from start to finish. You knew who the better team was.
It was beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Green Bay Packers. Woo! How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys?
I was about to say, you've been real mild. Like,
how
about
them Cowboys? What was y'all saying? This the year. Yeah, last year was the year, and the year before that. Matter of fact, it's been since what, 9-6? Ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys haven't been to an NFC Championship since a little bit before I was born. Few months before I was born. Last time they'd been in a game that was meaningful with a Super Bowl implication on the line. They have been, what? A disappointment. Listen, the white man took crack away and they gave America the Cowboys. That's all I got to say.
The Green Bay Packers are undefeated in AT&T Stadium since it opened.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Packers have more postseason wins at Dallas' stadium than the Dallas Cowboys do, including a Super Bowl win. Ladies and gentlemen, are you hearing this? Are you hearing this?
Keep going. Keep going. You're being too mild. You kicked them while
y'all told me that this was the year. Y'all's star defensive end was talking all that cash money about effort. If I'm down, it's gonna show up on tape. That boy's out there jogging towards the end.
Piss on their grave, D. Keep going.
Oh, Jerry Jones up in the suite. Jerry, listen, I ain't got a lot of beef with you, Jerry. If you're a racist, you 82 years old. You was born when Hitler was around. So listen, brother. I understand.
That's a bar.
You've been feeding a lot of black families for a long time, Jerry. So I guess you've been trying to make up for your racist ways.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Listen, that boy Jerry was up in that booth. He was toe up. You could see it. He throwing. Listen, you know, a brother's sick when he started he was trying to toss his napkin like it was a football. God damn it, that shit was just floating in the air. Like a little.
I think I read something that the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since the salary cap has been implemented. That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones was up there sick. It was so sick. They was telling me Bill Belichick was in there with him.
Dog, can we talk about that for a second? These Bill Belichick talks. Bill Belichick will not work in Dallas. Bill Belichick will not work in Philadelphia. Stop this madness.
Wait, Philadelphia? Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Stop this madness. Jerry Jones, you know what Jerry Jones loves? Jerry Jones loves being the GM and the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You know what Bill Belichick wants? Bill Belichick wants to be the GM and the coach. If you think Jerry Jones is going to give up that title for Bill Belichick.
How do we know that? Maybe that was what he wanted to do in New England. Maybe he'd be open to just having a head coaching role.
Oh, is that why he's only interviewed for the Atlanta job so far?
Does Atlanta not have a GM?
I mean, Atlanta would give him that power. There's no one there. Like, there's no personality that will be bigger than him in Atlanta.
But if
Arthur Blank minds his business.
But if they have a GM, then what you're saying?
Then he's gone.
Says who though? Who do you think's going to hire the coach?
If Bill Belichick says, "Yo, I want to be the GM too," the Falcons will be like,
they'll say that they can work together on roster building, but the GM would have final say.
Then Bill will not be in Atlanta.
I really think I'm not the biggest fan of that narrative because He hasn't always been the GM and the head coach. I'm pretty sure there has been some times where they've had a GM.
I thought he's been the GM and the head coach since he's been in New England.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
If I don't know, is Kyle in here? Can someone look that up? I thought Bill has been the GM and the head coach his entire tenure, but I could be incorrect.
Back to our original subject. The Dallas Cowboys. Listen. Y'all told me, one of my homies said, Aaron Jones, Darnell Jones, Romeo Jones, Pico Jones, Rico Jones. It don't matter. Cowboys by 15. Brother.
Say his name. Piss on his grave. Stomp on these boys, man.
Listen. Dak led the league, passing yards, touchdowns. Cowboys won all them games. And for what? You can't even give you. How do you sell this to your fan base? What do you tell a fan base after 12 wins and a wild card weekend ass kicking? One that was so bad, Jerry Jones didn't have. He was speechless. Man said that had. Listen, Jerry Jones was so stunned. He said that has to be one of the most shocking things that's ever happened in sports. He said in sports. Then he corrected himself to his sports history, but he said he wanted to start off with sports. This brother hadn't seen something like that in his sports fandom history.
Can we take it a step further? Another Jerry quote.
What?
Jerry said, "My plan was tomorrow, as in Monday, was to go in and meet with Mike McCarthy and start game planning for our next opponent, not go in and reset the team." Poverty franchise. The Cowboys.
They really thought that they was just going to run over us.
The only team in NFL history that has 3 12-win seasons consecutively and not reach a conference championship game. That
Really?
star is worth as much as an NFT.
They said that it's not a star, it's a rating. No, brother. Cowboys, listen. At least y'all got Dak Prescott this summer. Y'all gonna pay CeeDee Lamb.
And you got to pay Micah.
You got to pay Micah. This is what I don't get. This potential fire Mike McCarthy narrative. My serious question. Who would you go out and hire that you would really think could take you over the edge if you're the Cowboys?
Again, and we'll talk about this later. It's kind of the same issue that's going on in Philadelphia. You have an owner / GM that they don't want a puppet, but they don't want someone who's going to get the control. Get this nigga out of here. So the big names aren't going to go there. Like who out there right now do you think is looking at Dallas and is like, yeah, that's attractive?
I mean,
Mike Vrabel?
No, I don't even think that does anything to benefit it.
But I see your point. Like, who do you go get that takes you over the top?
It would have to be a clear, better replacement than Mike McCarthy, and I don't think any coach out that's currently available. I don't know if they would more so maximize that roster the way Mike McCarthy has. Bill Belichick maybe, but I don't know if.
Or do you hire Dan Quinn? Granted, his defense did not show up. Or do you fire Mike McCarthy and promote Dan Quinn? Because it seems like everyone loves Dan Quinn.
I don't know if that really does much either. Because who does Dan go get for an offense that you then have to reteach to Dak and team?
That's true. So I don't know. I don't know where Dallas. I understand because Jerry hasn't been very committed to Mike McCarthy. Jerry has said the past couple of weeks, well, let's see what happens in the postseason. He never really said like, yeah, Mike's coming back next year. It was, we'll see what happens in the postseason. Granted, it's Tuesday and Mike McCarthy still hasn't been fired. he might be safe because usually these things happen rather quickly. I don't. The thing about hiring a head coach is you have to move quickly because all the good candidates are being taken by the coaches that have been fired for non-playoff teams. So if you're going to do this, then do it.
And that's why I don't think Jerry's going to do. I think he's thinking.
I don't think he is either.
And I think that ownership, Stephen Jones and company, they're probably telling them realistically, we just got to tweak the roster a little bit more. So maybe that's you go in the draft and maybe you invest in another young wide receiver. Maybe you continue to. I mean, because it's.
I mean, they're great at drafting. Like Jerry has a great track record drafting. I don't think that's their problem. The problem is the postseason. Like, who had the game? Was it Greg Olsen? Yeah, it was Fox. And Greg, the entire game was like, something is wrong with the Dak and CeeDee Lamb. The entire game. He's like, something's been off from the very beginning. Like, they just get in their heads.
I mean, maybe it was the good defensive plan.
Maybe it was that.
Maybe they thought too confidently that they were just going to be able to do what they do well instead of thinking that preparing for what if that gets shut down, what's the alternative?
That sounds familiar. That sounds like another team in the NFC East. That's crazy.
My brother, let's go to the other Bay that was playing this weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I didn't realize there were so many bays in the NFL till just now. You're doing a great job with the transitions.
Thank you. Brother, I'm gonna let you ISO this one now. All I'm gonna say is, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles travel down to Tampa, Florida to play a playoff game. Only one team showed up to the arena to play that playoff game, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost 32-9. Baker Mayfield looked generational. Trey Palmer, you're on my fantasy team bench, but my brother, you'll be getting a lot more tick next year. David Moore had one of the funniest touchdown runs I've ever seen. But Danny, I'm gonna let you ISO. Tell me your thoughts and reactions from this game.
We talked about this before we got on. You and I talk a lot during the week, and you had told me that you have other friends that are Eagles fans and how they were confident in the Eagles this game. And I asked you, what the hell are they confident about? The Eagles have done nothing over the past 6 weeks since the overtime. Like, that Bills game changed the season for both teams. The Bills went on a run after that, and after Sean McDermott started comparing their team to terrorists from 9/11, like they turned their season around, and Eagles just went off the rails. I didn't have much confidence last night that they were going to go into Tampa Bay and win. Like, they had the issues that have plagued this team since they switched to Matt Patricia. Like, when they lost to Seattle that Monday night, I came on here and was like, this team is cooked. Like, Drew Lock drove 92 yards and threw the game-winning touchdown. Like, that's it. That was it for me. I was like, these boys are done. Like, that's a wrap. You can't have Drew Lock, especially when you have the 1 seed on the line. Like, all the Eagles had to do, they lost to Dallas, they lost to San Francisco. You just had to beat Seattle and then win 2 of the last 3 against the Giants in Arizona. And even after you lost to Seattle, all you had to do was win out. You just had to beat the Giants twice in Arizona, and you'd have won the NFC East. Like, after you lost to Seattle, the 1 seed was out the window. You could have still got the 2 seed. You just had to beat some of the 2 worst teams in football, and you lost to 2 of them. You lost to both of them. So, like,
pretty handedly too.
It wasn't. Well, the Cardinals game was close on paper, but if you watch the game, the Cardinals did whatever they wanted to. Like, they ran the ball. Like, James Conner was on. Anyway, last week I wasn't on the fire Nick Sirianni train, but old buddy, after last night, I get it. I'm about to buy my ticket.
So tell me, what changed from last year to this year outside of Shane Steichen taking the offense with him and the defense, I guess, and Jonathan Gannon?
So Nick's whole thing has been this entire time, this is my offense. And Brian Johnson and Shane Steichen, like, they all work together on, like, the calls for the week, but the offense, the fundamentals belong to Nick Sirianni. And if that's the case, then yeah, he got to go. Tell him pack his shit.
Why?
You don't watch a lot of Eagles games, do you? Because for the life of me, and for every Eagles fan on this planet, Nick Sirianni does not know how to solve blitz. Like what did the Bucks do last night? They just hit 7. And Nick Sirianni's answer to that is let's run verticals. It was 3rd and 2. Tampa Bay walked 7 guys to the line. Dallas Goedert ran a fly. Devontae ran a slant fade that turned into a go. And then whoever's on the other side just ran a go. Dog, Nick has had issues with the blitz all year.
I will say I watched that game. I watched the Eagles-Bucks game with Peyton and Eli. Every third down, not going to hold you. Every third down for the Eagles, Peyton was just on there. It's like, Todd Bowles is going to blitz. What's he going to do, Eli? He's going to blitz.
The frustrating thing, the Giants defensive coordinator, Wink, same thing. He runs the same, like he just blitzes like crazy. We're going to send 7, we're going to send 8. So you just faced a similar defense last week. You had no answers to it. You had another week, and but Nick hasn't had answers for the blitz in 2 years. So what does he bring to the table, right? If Nick needs an offensive coordinator to call plays, he's supposed to be the vibes guy. He's the CEO. He makes sure everyone is good. That team hates each other.
You think so?
I saw something. It was last night. Remember the head-to-head shot on Jalen from David, the 15-yarder? No one got up to defend Jalen. And the same thing happened last week in the Giants game when old boy jumped off sides on the tush push, hit Jalen right in the head. Like no one came to his defense. Like that team don't like each other. Again, the question is, if you fire Nick Sirianni, who do you go get? Because the thing about the Eagles' job, as stacked as that roster is, you have an owner and a GM that meddles. They're going to be, and as great as a GM as Howie Roseman is, he's going to meddle.
What do you mean by meddle? I didn't know that.
So before they hired Nick Sirianni, Athletic, I think it was the Athletic, posted an article about the different job openings. And the thing about the Eagles' job is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, like they want to help with the game plan. They're giving advice. They're offering their opinions compared to, let's say, the Rooney family. Like they hire a coach, they expect the coach to do their job. They really don't do much. Like if you're the coach of the Eagles, you're gonna have to deal with Howie and Lurie all the time. And the big name coaches, the Belichicks of the world, the Mike Vrabels of the world, who have some cachet, like they don't want to deal with that shit. I'm the coach. That's why every Eagles head coach that's been hired outside of Chip since Jeffrey Lurie took over have been people, I don't want to say, no-namers, but it was Andy Reid when Andy was the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. And it was Chip. And when they hired Chip, Howie Roseman got sent to the broom closet. And it was Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was the OC. Where's Doug at the time? Where's Doug Peterson when he was someone's OC, and now Nick Sirianni was the OC of the Colts. Like they don't go get big names outside of Chip because the guys who have weight don't want to do that.
And who was the head coach when Nick Sirianni was offensive coordinator? Was it Chuck Pagano?
Was it Chuck? Because Nick was in San Diego. Then he went to Indy. No, he was with Frank Wright. He was Frank Wright's OC. So, like, what does Nick do? Like, what can Nick say? What can Nick hang his hat on? Like, this is what I do well. You know, call the defense.
His offense that he brought from Indy, which
last week I said, don't fire Nick, but force him to hire an offensive coordinator that has no relation to his offense. But I think he's lost the locker room. Like, did you hear Jalen last night?
No.
So they were like, what about, what do you think about Nick Sirianni's job? And Jalen was like, oh, I didn't know he was going anywhere. Like, come on, my dog. Come on, Jalen.
What? He didn't know his job's in jeopardy. He just went to a Super Bowl last year.
Jalen knows. Like, compare that to what Dak said about Mike McCarthy, right? Like, Dak was like, McCarthy is my guy. If McCarthy's in trouble, then I need to be in trouble. Like, that is an endorsement. Jalen was just kind of, And not to say, and that might be just Jalen. Like, I might be overreacting, but
the brother speaks in Instagram captions.
He does, and it's hilarious. I know it's annoying when they're losing, but I'll always find it funny. It's great.
I always find it funny too.
But I don't. And it's the moment they looked at around the room and said, "You know who's going to solve our problems? The guy who wears a pencil in his ear that walks around with a laminated sheet." Yep, that's the answer. That's when the season ended.
So where do you think the Eagles go from here?
Again, it goes back to the same thing with Dallas. If you're going to fire Nick, then you need to fire Nick immediately so you can start. Because the Eagles' job, especially for an offensive coordinator like the guy in Detroit, what's my man's name? Johnson?
Ben Johnson?
Yeah. The Eagles' job is very attractive. On paper, you have a loaded roster. You have an offense that's locked in. But again, you're going to have to deal with Howie and Jeffrey. But if you don't fire Nick, which I think you should, I think last night was enough for me, then you force him to hire an OC that has no relation to him.
But then how do you justify that to another head coach?
Exactly.
When you fire a coach after a year after making the Super Bowl, is like, all right, if my team struggles in a similar situation, is my job in jeopardy then too, which then will cause them to have like a buyout clause that's ridiculous.
Exactly. And that's the other edge of this sword. If you fire your head coach every 3 years, what coach is going to want that job? And that's what makes that job unattractive. You get a loaded roster, but you got to win now. And if you struggle, there's a chance you're out of here in 3 years. Like that's not.
And I think the best course of action is to take that money and invest it in how can we improve this roster and how can we improve the play calling or whatever the deficiency is. So that way we don't listen, you were 10-1, then the 49ers exposed you all, and then they had, I mean, y'all been shook the rest of the season.
First thing you do is get James Bradbury the fuck out of there.
He was an All-Pro 2 years ago.
He was an All-Pro last year.
Okay, he's an All-Pro last year.
Dog. Go look at the stats on James Bradbury when he's been targeted. That Seattle drive, every completed pass was on James Bradbury.
So where y'all going?
Oh, we're gonna draft a corner. I think Darius Slay has one more in him. Darius Slay has done good enough. Like Darius Slay is still a starting corner, but James Bradbury got to go, dog. If we're gonna have someone who can't cover, at least give me a young boy. Don't give me some old man who don't even want to tackle. Oh, yeah, that was an AO. My bad.
Hey yo, AFC. Let's move on to the AFC. Freak ass boy. Jamie said Kevin Stefanski. Browns went through more coaches before him than a. Whoa. So speaking of the AFC,
speaking of freak ass boys,
yeah, y'all some. Listen, it's a day for freak ass boys, and speak on the chat. In the AFC, we had the Dolphins versus the Chiefs in one of the coldest NFL games ever. Danny, talk to me. What were your thoughts on the Chiefs' victory?
On the Chiefs?
Yeah.
The Chiefs are the Chiefs. We're going to talk about this in a couple minutes. I'm not surprised the Chiefs won. I am very interested to see what Patrick Mahomes looks like on the road in the playoffs. And we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. I wasn't surprised by the Chiefs game at all.
I think last week I came in here and said that because of the weather, Kansas City's going to come in and run the football and win maybe like a 16-7 type of game.
Yeah.
I think the final score was what, 23?
Something like that.
23-7, 23-9.
Let me look it up.
26-7. 26-7. So I was off by a few points, but y'all saw the gist. Listen, I knew in that type of weather, the offense of Miami was really going to stall, especially in the cold. Hey.
And also Miami, were they 1-6 against playoff teams this year? Like they've struggled against good teams all year. So
and
I wasn't shocked.
And their lone victory was against the Dallas Cowboys. How would you view this Dolphins season? Would you lean more injury prone, or would you look at it more of like a team collapse?
I wouldn't call it it was a collapse. They had the AFC East in their hands. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Bam. So everyone keeps talking about Tua. Bam in the chat said Tua's not the answer. It goes back to the coaching conversation. Who you gonna get that's better? We all talk about this quarterback sucks. Who are you going to get that's better? Who's available right now that's better than Tua that you have a realistic shot at getting? And if you do have a shot at getting that quarterback, why are they available in the first place?
Or how much draft capital or whatnot would you have to give up to get them? And in that case, is it even worth having them on your roster for that
Exactly.
price? Listen, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I like Tua. I know people hate Tua. There are a lot of teams that would take Tua over what they're looking at right now.
Name me those teams.
All right, let me pull up. Tell me what this team would take. Washington would take Tua over what they have right now. New England would take what they have right now. I think the Giants would take Tua over Daniel Jones. Tennessee. All right, Will Levis has a chance. Atlanta would take Tua right now. The Jets would take Tua right now. I think Minnesota would think about it. Denver would take Tua right now. The Raiders would take Tua right now. The Saints would take Tua right now.
I don't know about the Raiders.
You don't know about the Raiders?
I don't know.
I think Tua has more arm talent than Aiden O'Connell.
But Aiden knows that system pretty well.
I mean, Tua seems to be pretty smart and inquisitive. So, yeah, I think those teams would take Tua over their current QB situation right now.
Bam said that you're gassing Tua right now, and Jamie said they should draft Tua's brother as his replacement, as Talia just declared for the draft.
Thanasis and Giannis kind of thing.
Listen, I was watching the Bucks game last week when they played the Celtics and blew them out, and I was watching Thanasis get some tick and fouled in maybe like a minute, if that, on the floor, and I just couldn't help but to start laughing because the whole crowd was cheering for him. But I was like, yo, how does this dude rack up so many fouls so quickly? He just be out there catching vibes.
Dog. For me, it's how angry are the other guys on the bench with Thanasis, knowing that you're better than him and he still gets more burn than you because he's Giannis's brother.
So the thing is, every time he touched the court, I'm just like, yo.
Like, they cheer for him like it's the Special Olympics. Like, oh, yay, Thanasis got in.
Listen, all I'm going to say is I'm glad he can play basketball well. I just got to – one of these nights this season, I'm predicting that we're going to see a Thanasis career high in game points.
6?
We might.
How many points would Thanasis average in the G League?
I don't know the correct.
I'll say 9.
Got to be like 9.
9 and 5, and I'm not talking about rebounds. 9 points, 5 fouls.
Wait, really?
You see how he hooped? He hooped like the dude who lift before he played basketball.
I think 9 may be too generous, and I think it may be like 7.5.
All right, 9 was generous. Come on, we all know the dude who bench press and then come hoop. That's Thanasis.
You think so? He come in with the shirt that's all like cut up deep into the armpit area.
The first thing out Thanasis' mouth. Sorry, my dog is digging in the trash right now. What are you doing? She's being a whole bum. Thanasis comes in and the first thing he says is, "Oh man, I'm so sore." And he does this. He does this the whole time. Oh man.
He gets in after warming up and says he needs to warm up. Bam said that Tua is a game manager. Word to Cam Newton. It's unfortunate.
Well, I think game manager has a bad connotation to it because Brock Purdy is a game manager.
And you saw how the people defended him after he said that.
Like, there are only so many game changers at that position. Only a handful of them.
They don't want to hear you though.
Like your NFL team would pray for a game manager because you could have a bum.
And a lot of NFL teams have them. I think we got a little. I think we got a little fooled by the greatness of number 15 in Kansas City, and I think a lot of teams have been searching for that level of consistency and greatness for a little bit of time now.
Agreed.
Wait a minute. Yo. Bam. What is? Well, first off, Bam, are you in the chat with me real quick, Bam? Thank you.
Hey, yo, what the hell is happening in the chat?
Ladies and gentlemen, so for those not with us, Bam and I are talking about the 49ers and Brock Purdy and how the Niners may have the most talented roster in the league. And our guy Bash the Bishop says, I couldn't be gay. I couldn't have men turning me down as women. I couldn't have men turning me down as well as women. Bash the Bishop.
Yo, what the fuck are you talking about?
Do you want to defend yourself? I'm not quite sure where to take that, brother. That's
what are you trying to say? Yeah, man, these freaky ass bots. No, Bash the Bishop sounds like a real person. That doesn't sound like a bot.
Nah,
that sounds like that's a person.
What are your thoughts on the Browns Texans game overall? CJ Stroud, that dude.
CJ Stroud, man. How do you think the Panthers hate themselves?
I think they're definitely. I think. What's his name? David Tepper is definitely looking around and at his scouting department and saying, "Show me the scouting reports again on CJ versus Bryce and tell me what made us so confident in that pick." I think he's done that a few times. But at the same time, you could also say that would CJ perform as well given the circumstances in which Bryce is under? And you can ask, would Bryce succeed the same way CJ has given his circumstances?
Now, isn't it true that Frank Wright wanted CJ Stroud and David Tepper was like, no, Bryce Young? Yeah, thank you, Bam. Tepper wanted Bryce, and I think Frank wanted CJ.
Yeah, well, I think David Tepper's kids need to step in. I think somebody got to take this away from Papa. Come on, listen. Y'all ever been playing board games with like a grandparent or something? You see him dozing off to sleep. Like, come on, someone got to go ahead and take me mom up to bed. Go ahead, take this away from David Tepper, man. He don't know the hell he doing, man. Prayers to that man. That brother don't know what he doing. He don't. He up there throwing drinks on folks. That's when I knew. Oh, this brother lost it. That brother's starving for some.
That's someone who ain't never got their ass beat.
And that's why you shouldn't have ran off Cam Newton and David Tepper. Don't try to go back and hire Ron Rivera either.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Yeah, go do that. Go get Ron. Bam said, I wish Tepper dumped a beer on me. Yeah, that would have been interesting to see.
What do you mean by that, Bam? Why do you want men to pour drinks on you? Actually, we're going to move on to the Steelers-Bills game.
Bam wants him to pour beer on him like Chris Bosh with the champagne after they won the championship.
He said he going to win some money. Bam, I can tell you, he is going to send you to his lawyer, and they are going to tell you to have a nice day. What are your thoughts on the Steelers versus Bills game?
Steelers luck is going to run out eventually. No TJ Watt. You went and started Mason Rudolph. I don't know what else you expect.
Mason Rudolph was balling until he wasn't balling.
Can we talk about? I know people love the idea of playing football in the cold, but that shit in Buffalo was ridiculous. Who wants to play in that? Get a dome like Minnesota.
Well, the Packers play outside. They're in Wisconsin.
Have y'all ever had a game like that? I've never, like the snow like that.
I watched my team lose a freezing cold playoff game to a team that never scored an offensive touchdown. Don't talk to me about cold.
That's fair. Like people had to fight the snow to get to their seat. That was ridiculous.
Hey, you gotta fight for your right to party. If you want to be out there with your team, risking it for the biscuit, then be out there.
That's a bar. Should we go talk about something else? You want to talk about the Browns going forward? You want to talk about the divisional round? Where you want
Where
to
do
go
you
from
think the
here?
Browns go from here? I mean, if you're the Browns, you're looking at most of your almost a quarter of your team was on IR. So
Yep.
you'll have some healthier players coming back, including like a Nick Chubb and so on and
Yep.
so forth. So really, you've seen what every position group was able to do, and it kind of comes down to one position, the quarterback. And
The
what does a
nasty
quarterback
man.
and what does a quarterback position look like for the Browns going forward? Do you keep Joe Flacco on the roster and have him be your number two? Do you develop Dorian Thompson's Robinson some more? Do you also, while also continuing to think about whether you want to really fully developing? Oh man, what's his name?
While you think of that, I'll give an answer.
Deshaun Watson. Whether you want to keep on investing in Deshaun Watson. So
I mean, you can't get rid of Deshaun. That contract's fully guaranteed.
okay, then.
So the nasty man is going to be back next year, no matter what. It's just the question of who's QB2, and it's going to be DTR.
So if that's the case, then you're banking on Deshaun taking that next step and returning to the form that he was in.
He doesn't even need to do that. He just needs to be mediocre. That team is stacked. Oh, he just has to be okay. He doesn't have to elevate anyone. He just has to be okay.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, look how they got to the playoffs. Who was their quarterback? It was 37,000-year-old Joe Flacco. Like, I think Deshaun is better than Joe Flacco.
But you can also expect some players to regress, some players to progress. So then if you balance that out, you also got to think about other teams maybe regressing or progressing a little bit more, and where the Bengals and where the Steelers and where the Ravens might end up in a year might be different, along with the other teams in their division might be different. So
yeah, but that team,
who knows if the Steelers mess around and get Caleb Williams next year?
That ain't happening. They have no shot.
You never know.
Pittsburgh has the 20th overall pick. How they going to jump to the number 1 overall pick? What do they have to offer? TJ Watt?
If you
what do they have to offer?
If you're willing to, I wouldn't be against it if I was them.
So Jamie said Nick Chubb's going to be back fully, and I hear you, but this is like his second or third major knee reconstruction.
Why is everyone so confident in that?
Yeah, like I hope so. He's done it before, but Nick Chubb getting close to 30, isn't he?
He's getting up there.
Yeah, he's 28. He just turned 28. Like, I hope he can do it, but man, there's not as much in the tank as I don't think there's as much in the tank as people assume.
Yeah, me either. I think time is only taken for that, brother. You want to look ahead to the NFL divisional round?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Speaking of that dude, CJ Stroud travels up to Houston. CJ Stroud travels up to Baltimore as the Ravens host the Houston Texans. Danny, what are your thoughts about this matchup heading into the game?
The AFC side of the bracket it's gorgeous, man. I'm excited for all these games. That's the Saturday game, right?
I think yes, both 1 seeds play on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be. I don't expect the Texans to win. I wouldn't be shocked if they did. But man, CJ Stroud. I don't know how you can't be just excited for the Texans. Unless you're in the AFC South.
Sue me, I'm rooting for everyone that's black. So if your quarterback is black, I'm rooting for you.
Okay. Too bad most of them got to face each other this weekend.
It's unfortunate to them brothers.
But I'm excited for that game.
Listen, here's what I'm really excited to see. CJ Stroud versus the best defense in the league.
They played this year, didn't they? I think they did. I'm pretty sure I watched that game.
I think it was an early season game then.
It was. It was like week 4, week 5.
Yeah. I think the Ravens won.
Hold on, see if I can find it. Keep going.
Yeah. Either way, I'm excited to see CJ Stroud versus very talented Ravens defense and Mike McDonald, a guy I think is going to be a head coach next year, ladies and gentlemen, somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They faced week 1, and the Ravens won 25-9 in Baltimore.
Wow, what a tale of two different seasons. But they ultimately landed here in the AFC divisional round. Danny, who do you like in this game?
All the pressure's on the Ravens, right? All the pressure's on Lamar because Lamar's playoff record is abysmal. He is at home. He's had a week of rest. I'm going to take the Ravens. It's going to be closer than I think a lot of people think. Like I'm saying 27-23. It's going to be a one possession game. But I think the Ravens
27-23.
Like the Ravens have to win. Like Lamar can't have the 1 seed losing the divisional round. Man, if that happens, the narrative is going to be, "Whoo, buddy."
Narrative's going to be crazy.
It's already nasty on Lamar in the postseason. All he's done is beating the Titans. Every other time he's either hurt, sick, or he loses.
Yeah, keep him inside. Don't his immune system a little.
Like he at least has to make it to the AFC Championship game, and that game has to be close to push that narrative back a little bit. Because if he loses to the Texans on Saturday, buddy, it's gonna get gross out here.
I say all you have to do is beat the Texans again, and he's perfectly fine.
It depends on what happens in the AFC Championship game because they're hosting it, right? So if he hosts Mahomes and Mahomes comes in there and just beats the piss out of him, that's another conversation. Yeah, but first beat the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, beating the Texans would be important, but I mean, I would say if I'm the Ravens, I feel good on all 3 phases of the ball about anyone that comes into M&T Bank Stadium.
Absolutely. And it's going to be cold this weekend because where the East Coast is doing another weather system.
Man,
on Friday.
What about on the other side of the country in the San Francisco Bay Area as the Niners take on the Packers? What are your thoughts on this game as we head to Saturday?
I want to pick the Packers. Everything in me wants to pick the Packers.
Join us, my friend.
Here's the thing about San Francisco, and this is what we've known about them all year. If they get behind, they do not have the horses to catch up because their offense is not built like that. If Shanahan has to abandon the run and it's all on Brock Purdy, they're dead in the water. Shanahan's like, what's the record? Like 1-31, down by 7 or more in the fourth. His offense is not built to come from behind. If the Packers can even do remotely what they did last week in Dallas is the best defense. Like, is one of the best defense. Browns is in there. San Francisco's in there. Like, if Green Bay can go in there, same thing. Win the coin toss, receive, score 7.
D-Mixtradamus style.
Yeah, like, I think they can do it. I think the San Francisco team, if you punch them in the mouth, they will fold.
As a wise man who was watching Monday Night Football yesterday once said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Let me tell you something. Far too long has this team haunted our playoff dreams. That's to true. All my fellow Packer fans, you know about the nightmares of playing the San Francisco 49ers, particularly in the last quarter century, from the Colin Kaepernick games to the 49ers games listen, we've had Alex Smith, we've had Colin Kaepernick, we've had Jimmy Garoppolo, we've had Raheem Mostert with the 4-touchdown game. How many more times can we face this team? But that was with Aaron Rodgers. Now we have J Love.
And J Love is the name?
J Love is the name. And if y'all saw what J Love was doing versus the Dallas Cowboys on the road, then I need you to have faith in what you're about to see Jordan Love do versus the Packers on January 16th.
I hope so.
Or January, whatever. This Saturday.
I hope so.
Why is that, my brother?
Because I don't like San Francisco. I hope you win.
Yeah. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if he is able to lift the San Francisco postseason curse from the Packers back, I will cry real tears. Y'all just don't understand how happy I'll be.
Will you buy a J Love jersey, or have you already got one?
It's listen, my J Love jersey, it needs to get got because it's on the way.
Okay.
What about Patrick Mahomes' first road game up in Orchard Park facing Buffalo?
So excited for this because Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game. Let me be clear. Patrick Mahomes is going to be great. But I'm really going to enjoy seeing him throw his little temper tantrums in another stadium and the refs look at him like, dog, get up. You're in your 30s.
It's interesting because he has played in
20s.
Orchard Park, but it was during the COVID year. So they didn't have they didn't have.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are right.
This will be the first time that he actually plays with Bills Mafia there, and I feel like he's probably he's played in a lot of NFL stadiums, including in Lambeau this year, that kind of threw him off. I will say that outside of Lambeau, Bills Mafia may be close to Bills Mafia will be close to Packers Nation, so it'll be very interesting. But let's not act like Patrick Mahomes hasn't played big road games before.
He has. I said Patrick is going to be great. For me, it's when that time comes, and it is going to come, he's going to look at the ref and ask for a flag. And in Kansas City, he usually gets that flag. I am intrigued to see what he does when he does not get that flag.
I feel like flags are flags no matter where they go.
We both know that's not true. We both know, and we can talk about Patrick specifically. There are certain times when the Chiefs are at home in the playoffs where Patrick gets really friendly flags because he turns around and throws his hands up. That late hit last year against Buffalo that put them in field goal range.
That was a penalty, though.
Patrick was still in bounds. That was a legal hit.
Oh, bro, that was a penalty.
But he was at home.
The ref, they said it was a penalty, brother.
Okay. I'm just saying, does he get that same call in Buffalo?
We gonna see. I think he's Patrick Mahomes, and they're gonna protect him regardless because he is Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. Again, I'm just interested to see when it comes, because it's going to come, pause, where he's going to look at the ref and throw his hands up, whether it's someone he thinks hits him late, someone is offsides.
But if it's a clear foul, what else do you want him to do?
Come on, man. We don't have to act like Patrick Mahomes don't walk around here crying all the time, because he does. And it's okay because he's great. He's the greatest quarterback ever. But he do be crying.
But, okay. It's like a 70-30 actual penalty to not actual penalty.
He do be crying. Yeah. He turns around to the ref a lot and throws his hands in the air like he's been shot. Come on, man. We don't have to pretend.
What do you feel about Bam asking him, Bam saying that the Josh Allen fake slide should be a penalty?
It 100% should be, because defenders are slowing up so they don't hit him to get that 15 yards, and he's tricking them. Either if the quarterback wants protection, they're going to have to act like they want protection.
That's the Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Because if Josh Allen fake slide, or if Josh Allen slide and someone think he fake sliding and throw their shoulder in his chest, and now he's unconscious, now we got a problem. If you're going to slide.
Do you slide on? Oh, yeah, nice.
That's a jam. I listened to that song the other day.
Yeah, it's a bop. All right. Probably going to be the most interesting matchup of teams fighting for a conference championship spot. Bucks versus Lions.
If the Lions can figure out how to handle the blitz, they will win, and they will win comfortably.
I, on the flip side, think that if the Bucks figure out how to slow down Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery's run game and really find a way to get after Jared Goff with the blitz, I think the Bucks will win comfortably.
So here's the thing. The Bucks are one of the best leagues at stopping the run, but they're one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So they put all their resources in stopping the run, and that includes putting 7 in the box because they blitz a lot. If you have an offensive coordinator that's smart enough to say, Amon-Ra, run a slant.
You think that's all he says?
Hey, Amon-Ra, come and do a little orbit motion, run to the flat. You'll be wide open.
He said, do a little what motion? You
Orbit
freak
motion.
ass.
So orbit motion is when the receiver runs down the line of scrimmage and runs behind the quarterback and the running back. That's called orbit motion.
You've been watching that tape. I taught you well.
Yeah, you know what orbit motion was.
I taught you well. I had to see what you knew.
Oh, okay. Thank you for teaching me.
I had to see what you knew. Hold on. I want to make sure that I get my facts straight because I feel like these two teams played earlier in the season.
Oh, the Bucks and the Lions?
And they did. So the Lions went to Tampa Bay and won 20.
Yep.
This was
that sounds right.
Like 6 or 7. Goff threw for 353, 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 12 for 124 and a touchdown. I would say from a rushing standpoint, it doesn't look like they did really all that well. They only rushed for 40 yards.
Yep, that sounds right. Todd Bowles put 7 in the box.
But they didn't need to because Detroit threw for over 350 yards. So
I would love to see, I know you don't have access to this, I'd love to see a pass chart of Amon-Ra's routes because I bet you all those yards were yards after the catch. I guarantee it was a bunch of yak.
12 targets. 15 targets, 12 receptions, with the longest being 27 yards, averaging a little over 10 yards a catch. So
that sounds right. I'm just saying, like the blueprint to beat a Todd Bowles defense is run a freaking slant.
What about the blueprint to beat a Ben Johnson-led offense, though?
Don't know. We haven't seen it yet. What teams have shut the Lions down this year? I know there have been a few teams that have shut the Lions. I'm assuming I'm assuming to beat that offense, you need to be able to rush the passer with 4 and drop 8. I mean, no, not 8, 7, and drop 7. If you drop 8, you have 12 people, and you'll definitely win.
The Ravens won 38-6.
Yep, that's
the Packers
the Ravens.
won 29-22.
Did you watch that game?
The Bears won 28-13. Yeah.
So how did the Packers beat them? Well, that was Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. I mean, we just got after Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And we were able to with Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Lucas Van Ness, that front 4, and then we just played sound defense.
Yeah. If you can get to Jared with 4, but that Detroit offensive line, one of the best in the leagues, one of the best in the league.
They can move some people, but they can be moved as well. So
absolutely.
And you saw in the second half of that game versus the Rams. I mean, they really got it. They really got it cooking. So you give up 3 points, and it turns out to be the 3 points that your team needed to win the game.
Sean McVay has to be kicking himself. 59 seconds, 3 timeouts. You said, "Nah, let's go into halftime." That was the game.
Whew. It's tough, man. That's why. Listen, it's crazy. I've been thinking about the window to win the Super Bowl is so small. I know we talk about this every year, but the window to win that Super Bowl is so small. A year ago, Eagles fans were telling us how they were going to be perennial contenders with this roster, and a year later, they are getting ready to potentially fire their head coach. A year later,
life comes at you fast. Joe Burrow made it to the Super Bowl. He ain't been back since.
Not Joey Ice. So I read somewhere that the 3 worst QB contracts are Cincinnati, Philly, and
the Chargers.
The Chargers.
It's going to be crazy because that happens every offseason, right? So next year it's going to be Dak because Dak about to get paid. Who else is due?
No, Dak just got paid.
No, Dak is due an extension. So this summer, Dallas is going to have to pay Dak. They're going to have to pay Micah and CeeDee Lamb.
Really? I thought.
Now Dak
I
is due
swore
for an
Dak.
extension. Can someone?
I really,
Dak is due
I
for an
really thought Dak
extension.
got an extension last year.
No, I don't think he did. Let's look it up. Let's see. Let's look up Dak's contract.
While you do that, Bam says Detroit has awful linebackers, Hutchins and edge sprinter. Jamie also to your yak yards after catch question said Amon-Ra St. Brown was a wide receiver 2 in terms of yak with 668 yards. So I feel like he's going to give the Bucks hell.
Yeah, so this coming season is going to be the last year on Dak's contract. So yeah, you better sign him this year so he doesn't sniff free agency.
If he does sniff free agency, then
he's gone.
I think he's not only is he gone, but I also think Mike McCarthy would be as well. So I think next year might be a prove it year type deal for both.
Really,
McCarthy
you think Dallas would let Dak play on the last year of his contract?
Yeah, and then start it all over
so
again.
You believe in Trey Lance? Like, is that the transition plan?
No, it would be either you would have to find a way to trade and start over.
That sounds like a terrible idea if you don't have Dak's backup in mind.
You can draft it
because you're not going to
bring in a vet. Either you re-sign him if McCarthy and Dak do well, or you try to kind of maneuver yourself to
or you
go to the top head coach, and then maybe you bring in a veteran QB, draft a QB, let him develop, and then you can still keep the roster intact while you go out and draft a Baker Mayfield QB.
Because CD and Micah Parsons are going to get top 3 money at their positions this offseason. They're going to reset the market.
As they should. And the Cowboys have some other good defensive players that are coming up that should be getting paid. Listen, the team's going to be young. The team's going to be good, but you also got to be smart with it. And I think there's a way to think ahead towards the future while also taking advantage of the resources that you have now. Speaking of GOATs, Danny, this one hurts because the Tide was supposed to roll again.
Let it out.
It was announced last week, ladies and gentlemen, that the GOAT, Nick Saban, has retired. The Tide was supposed to roll. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Alabama fan, it's sometimes these decisions really hurt you deeply, and this one hurt me deeply. Nick, I wish you all the best, brother. You have been nothing but the greatest college football head coach I've ever seen in my lifetime. Your standard to excellence will continue to live on. Danny, any final words to Nick Saban before we send him out of here?
Best college coach ever. Though one of the rare people. When he left Miami for Alabama, there was a lot of critique about the way he left Miami. No one cares about that anymore because he is the greatest college coach ever. I feel real bad for this guy coming after him.
Kalen DeBoer. Let's speak on that. So he was hired as new head coach. He was the previous head coach at Washington, took him to the college football playoff, all the way to the national championship game this year versus Michigan. He gets the Bama job. Danny, do you think he has what it takes to keep Bama amongst one of the top powerhouses in the country?
Potentially, but I think and this was going to be the case for any coach that took that job, especially a coach that's not from the Nick Saban tree. There's going to be a transition, and there's going to be, it might be a year. I mean, they're only going to have a year. Like how you say his last name? DeBoer? I always butcher it.
Kalen DeBoer. Tom DeBoer. Yeah, nah, Tom DeBoer. Tom DeBoer. Y'all remember Tom from the Boondocks?
Oh, yeah. here's the thing for him. The year he just had at Washington was seen as a roaring success. At Alabama, if he had that same year, it would be a failure. And that's the difference.
True, but I think Tide fans will also realize maybe after the first or second year that this is not Nick Saban, so we have to level set expectations.
Come on, dog. We talking about Alabama.
You're right, because I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
This is Alabama we're talking about. Listen,
you're right. Let me tell you something here, brothers and you brotherettes out here. If you don't think the goddamn Tide is going to roll goddamn again, you best have another thing goddamn coming at you. I hear you would. Because the Tide will roll again. A roll Tide.
There you go.
And shout out to my OHIO brothers because we running the Big Ten too.
I don't have anything.
And y'all know I gotta hold it down for the HOKIES. Yes, the Hokies. Yeah, go Hokies. Hokey, hi. Hater, bye.
I hope that's not the song for the Hokies. At least the women's basketball team is good.
That's hate.
That's respect. That's love.
The football team's making a comeback too.
They've been for the past 6 years. They've been making a comeback since Michael Vick left.
How many times have y'all beat us since then?
Hey, I'm not out here talking about some UVA gonna win the ACC.
Hey, one of these days, Tech will win the ACC. One of these days. The Warriors, shifting over to basketball news, the Warriors continue to struggle even with Draymond Green back in the lineup. If you're the Warriors front office, who would you look to trade for right now?
We talked about it last week. Klay Thompson, you are a Charlotte Hornet. Welcome to the team.
But I'm saying, who would you trade for?
They keep saying Pascal Siakam, right? That's the name that keeps floating around. What does Pascal add to this team?
Who is now in advanced trade talks with involving in the Indiana Pacers. The Raptors and the Pacers are involved in trade talks. Yeah,
which is crazy because Pascal has said he's not committing to any team because this is the last year of his contract. I would just say, if you're the Warriors, like this is it. Like you have to. The bill is due. You've been kicking the can for the past 4 years. You had Jordan Poole, but you had to get rid of him because Draymond punched him in the face. That was your next star. Now you traded for Chris Paul. Like your team is old. You don't have that young. You have Steph. Steph is always enough to get you to the playoffs. But the days of contending for championships, Anthony Edwards is here. Like there are other teams that have arrived that would beat
Anthony Davis is here, brother.
Anthony Davis is here. I'm not going to say the Kings, but like there are other teams. The Oklahoma City Thunder are here. Like Shea is here. Like
Luka and Kyrie are here.
We'll get there. I would take the Mavericks over the Warriors in the playoffs. I'm saying there are too many teams that are better than you. Like there's nothing you can do to make this a championship contending team as long as Steph Curry is there. But you're not going to trade Steph, so you're going to be a play-in team. You might be good enough to get the fifth. What's the play-in is 6 through 9 or 5 through 9.
If I'm the Warriors, I'm taking Klay Thompson to the side. I'm telling them the story about Old Yeller, and then I'm trading him in the very next hour.
Yes.
To the Chicago Bulls in hopes to try to get Zach LaVine.
Why would Chicago do that deal? That's crazy.
Klay Thompson, maybe Jonathan Kuminga, couple first for Zach LaVine.
But is Zach LaVine enough? Like
Zach
okay,
LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu, and maybe like a pick swap or a second round pick.
Is that enough though? Is Zach LaVine enough?
You need another scorer to go alongside Steph. That's where it starts. You mix that in with Draymond. IU will probably get you some good minutes. Then you try to find you. Maybe you try to move freaking Moses Moody or that other young kid that they have, Padawan. Maybe try to move him for like a Grayson Allen type beat or something.
But my question is, do you mortgage your future again for the 4th seed in the West, best possible scenario, or do you say,
Yeah,
okay,
because
it's
fuck
time?
them picks.
All right, you can be bad now, or you can be bad later.
Be bad later.
Okay.
Be bad later. Let it be someone else's problem. That's what most GMs do anyway, and that's how most of these college.
That's why Bob Myers left. Bob Myers said, "I know what's coming. I ain't having that conversation with Draymond about his contract. I'm good."
That's why these college coaches look as crazy as they do when they look at teams and they look at players and they try to call out loyalty. You saw that shit that happened with Arizona's head coach?
LOL. Yes.
No loyalty, yet they want to come at players for loyalty. Get your bread, brothers. Speaking of teams that people shouldn't have loyalty to, yet they blindly do. Some mention the Philadelphia Eagles. Others mention the Los Angeles Lakers, who continue to be just the most up and down, consistently inconsistent train wreck you could ask for. Ladies and gentlemen, Darvin Ham has decided to go back to the starting lineup that won the West, that got us to the Western Conference Finals.
Crazy.
It's also the lineup that started the year.
Crazy.
So I say all this to say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the hell is going on in Los Angeles, but I will continue to wear my Lakers jersey with pride, and I will continue to be confused while doing it.
I know we keep talking about trades for the Lakers, and the big name is DeJounte Murray. My question is, do the Lakers need another 2 guard that doesn't play defense?
You know what the Lakers need? The Lakers need a head coach sometimes who, when teams go on like 16-0 runs, the Lakers need a head coach who don't stand around and look like this.
You know what's funny? You know where he got that from? He got that from the coaching school of Jason Kidd, because he does the exact same shit, and it's infuriating.
Darvin Ham, they going on a 19-0 run. Here comes Darvin Ham.
That's crazy. You know what Jason Kidd said the other night?
He gonna lick his lips, maybe take something out of his hand. Now it's 25-0 run. Now he calling the timeout. What the fuck are we doing, bro? What are we doing?
You know what Jason Kidd said the other night?
What Jason Kidd say?
I think the Mavericks, they lost to the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies had no one. And Jason Kidd was like, "What do you want me to do? I'm the coach." I ain't gonna say it, because these are airwaves that belong to someone else. He's so infuriating.
He's the coach, though. He's right.
He's so infuriating. He does the same thing Darvin Ham does. He's a firm believer. Oh, they're on a 12-0 run. Well, you need to play yourself out of it. No, dog, just call timeout. That's all you do.
Why can the players not call timeout?
I don't know. If LeBron can't call timeout, I don't think anyone can call timeout.
Hey, LeBron called that timeout.
Like sometimes I'll be like, "Yo, Luka, just call timeout, dog. Please help your coach."
Austin Reeves had that basketball, and LeBron called a timeout. Oh, the NBA is such a joke. Listen, NBA, stayed in the NBA. Joel Embiid, after the game on Monday, actually yesterday, he said that the goal is health, not the second MVP. Is that a big deal or no deal?
Massive deal.
Tell you that I think the Sixers are beating the Nuggets right now as we speak as well.
Massive deal. The thing about Embiid is, when he gets to the playoffs, he looks tired and unconditioned. He is 100% correct. We don't care about MVPs. Go win a championship. He looks tired. I'm sorry. He looks tired because his usage rate is through the roof. Same thing with Luka. Worry about your health. Don't worry about awards.
Who do you think makes it to an NBA Finals first, Luka or Joel Embiid?
Right now it looks like Joel, but let me tell you, and I know you're going to call me crazy because you've been calling me crazy because I've been saying this the past 2 years. If Pascal Siakam becomes a Maverick,
he's in advanced trade talks to be an Indiana.
But he said he's not committing to a contract extension with anyone. So yeah, he can go to the Pacers for half of the year on a rental and then hit free agency, and the Mavericks might be able to offer him a max. Whew, buddy, that's the missing piece. Is a Pascal for the Mavericks.
Why
they got all the scoring in the world. They need a wing who can switch and can play the 3 to the 5, or even the 2 in a big lineup. He can play the center in a small ball lineup. He's a fit at the 3, and he can play 4 beside Derek Lively as well. Dog, that's the piece. That's the versatility that's missing on the Mavericks.
Y'all got Grant Williams, though.
Dog, Grant been ass. He robbed Mark Cuban.
Celtics fans kept telling me, yo, Grant Williams is a 2-pack of ass. And I was always like, nah, Grant Williams can play. Grant Williams can play.
Yeah, me too. Nah, dog, he robbed. That man had 7 points the other night.
Listen, Celtics fans, when he got signed or whatever to Dallas, they were rejoicing. They said, yeah, get him off my roster immediately.
Dog, he robbed Mark Cuban blind. He showed Mark Cuban them highlights from the Heat series, and Mark was like, all right, let's do it.
But Mark didn't want to pay Jalen Brunson. It's okay.
Crazy.
Do you think Pete Carroll coaches anywhere next season?
I don't think so. I think Pete takes a year off, and we'll see where he's at next year. Pete Carroll's 70. How old is Pete? He's 72, right?
He's 72. He up there.
Yeah, he's 72. Man, go be a grandfather.
You think that's where he's at in his life now?
Yes, go be a grandfather, dog. You closer to the end of your life than the beginning. Go be with your family.
So you think Nick is saying the same thing?
Yes,
Nick saying the same thing.
Nick 100% said the same thing. Nick said, "Hey, it's time to be a family man."
Why isn't Belichick saying the same thing?
I feel like Belichick is a different breed.
But he could be literally saying the same thing. Maybe he has grandchildren, whatnot.
Yeah, but he interviewing for head coaching jobs. The other two are not. The other two have not shown any interest at all in coaching.
If you were a head coach right now, who would you go? What team would you go coach?
Out of all the, I told you, we talked about this last week, and you brought up some great points.
If Danny Ocean was coaching.
The Chargers.
Oh, this thing crazy.
I told you the hardest position to figure out in the NFL is quarterback. The Chargers have it. These other teams do not.
That's a real bad roster that you had to mismanage.
I know. That's a terrible roster. You have some salary cap issues, 100%. But if you have a top 7 quarterback, you have a chance every single week.
Let me tell you something.
That's what Justin Herbert
start
is.
Completely over. I'm going to either Washington or New England or Atlanta.
You don't want to be the guy that follows Bill Belichick. Like, you don't want to be the guy that follows Nick Saban. I get Atlanta.
Nah, but listen, what's there to follow? You've been bad for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
But
so you gotta do
his shadow is still there.
Yeah,
though.
but
like the shadow of Bill Belichick.
The shadow of a lot of things went out the window when 12 left. Y'all had your little playoff season, and then it's been gloomy since. Then people just want to win. So as long as you show some type of improvement, you won fucking 11 or 3 or 4 games last year. Get to 5 wins or 6 wins. Give them something to cheer for. Now you got something to build on. That's what I've done.
That's true.
That's what.
But I get Atlanta. Atlanta, you have everything but the quarterback.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Here's my thing with Atlanta. If they get the offensive system that works, I could definitely see it being successful. But I could also see the flip of them hiring someone that is a splash hire who they think is going to change it around, and they end up in NFL purgatory for the next 3 or 4 years.
I mean, they have the 8th pick, right? Who's going to be there at 8? Drake May's going to be gone. Caleb Williams is going to be gone. So now you're talking about that second tier. You're talking about Jaden McDaniels. You're talking about
Bo Nix.
Michael Penix Jr.
If I'm them, I'm taking Jaden Daniels.
Dog, we're not going to talk about Bo Nix. He's 40. Bo Nix closer to coaching than he is to playing football.
If I'm them, I'm taking Jaden Daniels.
I'd be okay with that. If I'm them, I'm trading for Justin Fields.
But what do you think that does? If I think the Bears are going to keep him just because they didn't let go of their head coach. I know we talked about this earlier, but they didn't let go of Matt Eberflus, which tells me I think they want to keep that synergy together.
And they should. keep Justin Fields.
So then I would end up leaving Atlanta somewhere to be able to take.
Well, someone's going to trade with Chicago for 1 overall, whether it's Washington. Someone's going to go grab 1 overall. Number 1 is for sale to the highest bidder. So Atlanta, you're going to have to jump 7 spots. Washington is only going to have to jump 1 spot. So if you're Atlanta, you're going to have to pay King's ransom to go get. If you think Caleb Williams and the other guys in front of him don't need a quarterback, Washington and New England, you have to jump them. You're going to have to outbid them. If you think Caleb Williams is that guy, or Justin Fields, is that guy, then you go get him. You're going to have to pay him in a year, but go get him.
Hardest thing you said to figure out is a quarterback. If you got one, keep him. So
if you got one, keep him. But if you're Chicago, rare position to be in.
Very rare, especially for that team. They stink.
D, do you have anything else for the people?
Listen, everyone. In life, sometimes you are doubted, just like the Green Bay Packers were. And sometimes you kick doubt right in the mouth and you tell them, not today. To everyone whose team was not successful enough to make it to the divisional round, just know that this begins your season of mock drafts. Start to just fire them up, brothers.
Can't wait.
You'll need them. And use that to coincide with your fantasy mock drafts. And as always, make sure you follow the pod at SpeakOnIt_pod. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, wherever. Bam says trade Justin Fields to the Steelers. I would maybe think about that if I'm the Steelers.
It's not a bad idea.
I would maybe consider a George Pickens for Justin Fields. George Pickens and a pick for Justin Fields. I would consider it. I would definitely consider it. Danny, let other people know where to find you at.
You can find me on on the X app at DannyOcean41. Again, follow it, SpeakOn_pod, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Send us your emails, speakonapod14@gmail.com. Most of our teams are out of it. You might have some questions like, hey, what should we do? Or you might have some questions about your love life, your wife. Maybe you don't know what to get her as a present. You don't know her love language. We can talk you through that. Yeah, just send us an email.
So Shams is reporting that the Raptors and Pacers are in active talks on a trade centered around Pascal Siakam for a package that includes 3 first-round picks.
That's insane to trade all that for a guy who won't commit to a contract extension.
But
do you think the Pacers really have a chance to win a championship?
Well, here's my thing with the Pacers offensive system. It could put Pascal in a situation that he could put up numbers, and then if he's able to put up numbers, that's a way for him to get a bag.
100%. I'm just saying, if you're the Pacers, you're giving up all that, and he can look at you in 6 months and say, "Appreciate it, gotta go." That's a lot. That's a big risk.
Kawhi did it.
And they won a championship, so it worked. Do you think the Pacers can win a championship? Do you think Pascal Siakam is the missing? Because Buddy Hield's going to be in that trade. They were trying to trade Buddy Hield.
But maybe if you're the Pacers, maybe you don't need to win a championship. You just need a deep playoff run to make them want to come back.
Yeah, maybe. But do you think that's going to work?
If you can make an in-season tournament final, why can't you make it an Eastern Conference final? You've already shown that you can beat the Bucks handedly. You've probably shown that you could probably play with. They have beaten the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Sixers. They probably feel good about what they have, and they're probably thinking they get someone like Pascal on the roster, they could probably do some damage.
It's one thing to beat them on a random Tuesday night. It's another thing to beat them 4 out of 7.
We'll see.
Ladies
and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us on a Tuesday night. We thank you. We love you. Make sure you follow the pod. Make sure you follow the co-host. Peace.